Okay, so are you ready to dive into some seriously cool stuff today?
Mm.
We're talking prompt engineering, and you sent over some fascinating Google Cloud resources on this.
Yeah, definitely ready to go.
So let's get right to it. I guess, you know how sometimes you're like, man, I wish I could just get the AI to understand exactly what I need.
Oh, yeah,
Like, really nail it and give me exactly what I'm looking for.
totally. That's what prompt engineering is all about, you know?
It's like speaking AI.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
becoming so essential with these large language models.
LLMs?
Yeah, those LLMs, they're getting so powerful.
Okay, so before we go any further, though, let's define it. What is prompt engineering? Give me the quick and dirty.
Okay, so imagine you're trying to get, a friend to draw something very specific for you.
Okay.
How you describe it really matters, right?
Yeah,
The detail, the examples you give, the tone, all of that changes what they draw.
makes sense.
That's basically prompt engineering.
Hmm.
But for AI models, you're crafting the perfect instructions to get them to give you that result.
So it's not just about typing in any old question, it's about crafting the input really carefully.
Exactly.
That reminds me of one of the articles you sent from Google Cloud, the one about the different types of prompts.
Yeah.
It was like zero shot, few shot, and then another one.
If prompts.
That's it. And they all have like different strengths depending on what you want to get out of it.
Exactly.
Let's start with zero shot prompts. What are those all about?
Those are your straight shooters.
Oh,
You're just giving a direct instruction with no context.
so no hand holding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like asking the AI to translate a sentence into Spanish or come up with 10 business name ideas.
Okay, so no hand holding. That's impressive. But what if you need the AI to like write in a specific style? Can a zero shot prompt handle that?
Not really. For that, you'd want to use few-shot prompts.
Few shot prompts. Okay.
So let's say you want the AI to write a product description, but you want it to be funny and irreverent.
Oh,
You would give it a couple of examples of product descriptions that are written in that funny and irreverent style.
so the AI can learn the pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're basically giving it a crash course.
Funny product description 101.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, what about those chain of thought prompts? Those sound kind of intense.
They are pretty neat, actually. They're all about getting the AI to think step by step, like asking it to solve a complex math problem and show its work along the way.
Oh, so you can see how it's thinking.
Right. You get a much more comprehensive and well-reasoned output because of that.
But why go through all that trouble? Like, wouldn't a simple prompt get you what you need?
Not always. Let's say you want the AI to write a blog post about some new scientific discovery.
Okay.
A simple prompt might just get you a very basic summary, but with a chain of thought prompt, you can push it to analyze the implications. Compare it to other research, even speculate about the future impact.
Wow, so it's not just like surface level, it's about going deeper,
Right.
getting the why behind things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the real power of prompt engineering comes in. You're not just getting information, you're guiding the AI to generate insightful, nuanced, creative outputs.
Okay, cool. So we've got these different types of prompts, each with their own strengths, but how does this play out in the real world? Give me some examples of how prompt engineering is actually making a difference.
Oh, there are endless possibilities.
Mhm.
Like, remember we talked about AI writing a bestseller? That's actually happening with language generation now. AI can write stories, poems, even scripts.
Wait, AI is writing scripts now?
It can rival human creativity.
It blows my mind. What else can it do?
Think about all those times you've been stuck on a problem, and you wish you had an expert right there to help you through it.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
That's what AI-powered question answering systems can do.
Oh, that's really cool. So I could basically have an AI tutor for anything.
Exactly.
Sign me up.
Okay.
Okay, let's get real, though. How does this apply to the work most people do every day?
One area that's exploding right now is code generation. AI can now help developers to write, translate, optimize, and even debug code.
So we've done from AI writing scripts to writing code.
It's like having the superpowered coding buddy that never needs a coffee break.
Is there anything AI can't do?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but honestly, the possibilities are just expanding. Even image generation is becoming incredibly sophisticated now.
Okay.
You can describe a scene or a concept, and the AI can generate a photorealistic image based on what you say.
That's insane. This is starting to sound like a sci-fi movie. But okay, let's bring it back down to earth for a second. We've seen what's possible with prompt engineering, but how do we actually get good at it? Like, what are some strategies we can use to make sure our prompts are top-notch?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something we can dive into deeper. But maybe we should take a quick break first, and then we'll come back and give everyone the tools to become a prompt engineering master.
Okay, sounds good to me. We'll be right back. All right, I'm ready to become a prompt engineering master. we've laid the groundwork, but what are the secrets to crafting those killer prompts?
Well, there's no magic formula, but there are definitely some strategies you can use to up your game.
Okay.
And, one thing you mentioned earlier really stuck with me.
What was that?
Clarity. It's absolutely essential.
Right, because we can't expect AI to read our minds no matter how smart it gets. So how do we make sure those prompts are crystal clear?
Think of it like giving directions to someone who's never been to your city before.
Okay.
You wouldn't just say, go to the good Italian restaurant. You'd give them the specific address,
Right.
landmarks to look for, maybe even tell them how long the drive should take.
So it's about being super precise and giving the AI all the information it needs to succeed.
Exactly. And one way to do that is to use really strong action verbs.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of saying, tell me about prompt engineering, you could say, write a comprehensive guide to prompt engineering for beginners focusing on practical applications.
So you're being direct and telling the AI exactly what you want it to do, not just what you want it to know.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. What else?
Context is king. Remember that Google Cloud article you shared about how AI can sometimes hallucinate information?
Yeah.
Providing context helps to ground the AI and reduces the chances of those hallucinations happening.
So it's like giving it a solid foundation to build upon.
Exactly.
So instead of just asking for a random poem, I might say, write a poem in the style of Emily Dickinson about the feeling of isolation in a bustling city.
That's a perfect example. You're giving it the who, what, where, and why.
Yeah.
And that level of detail is crucial for getting the best results.
Okay, cool. But there's another strategy that I think is really powerful, especially for beginners, those few-shot prompts.
Oh, yeah.
Those examples we talked about earlier. But how exactly do they help us write better prompts?
It's all about showing, not just telling.
Show me.
So imagine you're trying to teach someone how to bake a cake. Would you just give them a list of ingredients and instructions? Or would you show them how to measure the flour, mix the batter test if the cake is done?
I would definitely show them, especially if they were a beginner.
Exactly. And AI models are similar in that way. They learn from patterns and examples.
Okay.
So by giving them a few examples of those input-output pairs,
Right.
you're essentially showing them how to bake that cake.
Okay. I'm starting to get the hang of this. Clear goals, action verbs, context examples. It's like building a puzzle piece by piece.
I like that.
But what if we're dealing with a really complex task? Something with multiple steps or layers? How do we handle that?
That's a great point.
Right.
In those cases, you want to break down the task into smaller, more manageable chunks. Think about those China thought prompts we talked about earlier.
Right.
They're perfect for guiding the AI through that complex process, step by step.
So instead of saying, analyze this entire research paper, I might say something like, first, summarize the key findings, then identify the strengths and weaknesses of the methodology, finally propose 3 new research questions based on the paper's conclusions.
Exactly. You're leading the AI through the thought process, which can be really helpful for those complex tasks.
It's like giving it a roadmap instead of just a destination.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But even with all these strategies, sometimes the best thing you can do is just experiment, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, don't be afraid to play around with different phrasings, see what happens.
Try different things.
Oh, yeah.
Adjust the level of detail. You never know what's going to work best.
So it's a bit of an art as well as a science.
Definitely.
And that brings me to something I've been wondering about this whole time. We keep talking about how AI is becoming more powerful and sophisticated.
Right.
But what about the human side of things? Like, how do we make sure we're using this technology responsibly and ethically?
That's a crucial question. And while there are broader ethical considerations around AI development, we can certainly talk about how we use prompts responsibly.
Okay, good.
One thing to be mindful of is how our own biases can seep into the prompts we create.
Right, because the AI is essentially learning from us. So if we're feeding it biased information, it's going to reflect those biases in its output.
Exactly.
How do we avoid that?
It starts with being aware of our own biases and actively challenging them, making sure we're not perpetuating stereotypes or excluding certain perspectives in our prompts.
So being mindful of the language we use, making sure it's inclusive and equitable.
Exactly.
That makes sense. What else?
Another thing to consider is the potential impact of AI-generated content on society as a whole.
Okay.
It's important to think about the potential consequences, both positive and negative, of the content we're asking the AI to create.
So we need to be responsible creators and think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, for sure.
That reminds me of something you said earlier, thinking like AI. What did you mean by that?
It's about trying to anticipate how the AI might interpret our prompts and what kind of output it might generate.
Yeah.
We need to think about its strengths and limitations, its potential biases, even its quirks.
So it's almost like we're learning a new language.
Right. The language of AI.
And the better we understand that language, the more effectively we can communicate with it.
Exactly. It's about building that bridge between human intention and AI capability.
And that bridge is built on a foundation of clear, concise, thoughtful prompts.
You got it.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I have to admit, it's also a bit overwhelming. Where do we even begin to put all this into practice?
Well, the good news is there are tons of resources available to help you get started.
Oh, good.
Google Cloud, for example, has some fantastic tutorials and documentation on prompt engineering specifically for their platform.
Okay, awesome. We'll definitely include links to those resources in the show notes.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
But let's say we've done our homework, we've practiced our prompts, and we're ready to unleash our inner prompt engineer on the world. What are some real-world applications where this skill can really shine?
Oh, the possibilities are truly endless. We've already touched on some of them: language generation, question answering, code generation, image generation.
Yeah.
But let's dive a little deeper into some specific use cases and see how prompt engineering is really making a difference.
Sounds good to me. Let's explore this amazing world of prompt engineering in action. All right, so we're ready to see prompt engineering in action, but before we get to those real-world examples, I'm curious about something we've talked about, what makes a good prompt.
Yeah.
But what about the flip side? What are some common pitfalls people should avoid?
Oh, that's a great question, because even with the best intentions, it's easy to make mistakes.
Totally.
One of the biggest ones is being too vague. AI is incredibly powerful, but it's not a mind reader.
Right.
If you're not specific about what you want, you might end up with something completely different than you expected.
So no more write me something amazing prompts.
Exactly.
Got it. But what about those times when we have a general idea, but we're not quite sure how to articulate it? How do we approach that?
That's where experimentation comes in.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to try different phrasings, play around with the level of detail, and just see what happens.
Okay.
Sometimes the most unexpected prompts yield the most interesting results.
So it's a bit of an art as well as a science.
Definitely.
But I think there's something else that trips people up, sometimes forgetting about context.
Oh,
We talked about it earlier, but why is it so crucial?
Think about it this way. If you asked a friend to write a story, they'd probably have a million questions.
Right.
What kind of story? Who are the characters? What's the setting?
Yeah.
Providing context in your prompts is like answering all those questions for the AI.
So it's about giving the AI the background information it needs to really understand what we want.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I have to ask, with all this talk about AI becoming so advanced, is there a risk that we humans become too reliant on it? Like, are we going to lose our own creative spark?
That's a question a lot of people are asking, and it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But I see it differently. I think prompt engineering actually enhances our creativity.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
like having a collaborator who can generate ideas, explore different possibilities, and push us beyond our comfort zones.
I like that perspective. So it's not about replacing human creativity, but about amplifying it.
Exactly.
And speaking of amplification, let's talk about those real-world applications we teased earlier.
Yeah.
Where are we seeing prompt engineering make a tangible impact?
Well, one area that's really taking off is in marketing and advertising.
Okay.
Imagine being able to generate highly targeted ad copy, personalized product descriptions, even entire marketing campaigns with the help of AI.
Wow. So we're not just talking about writing better emails. We're talking about revolutionizing the way companies connect with their customers.
Exactly.
Wow.
Another area that's super exciting is in education.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine having an AI tutor that can adapt to each student's individual learning style and pace, provide personalized feedback, and even generate custom learning materials.
That would be a game changer, especially for students who struggle with traditional learning methods.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like having a personal teacher available 24/7.
Exactly. And it's not just about students. Prompt engineering is also being used to develop AI-powered training programs for professionals, helping them stay up to date with the latest industry trends and acquire new skills.
Okay, so we've got marketing education. What else? There's got to be more.
Oh, there's so much more. We're seeing it being used in healthcare to analyze medical data and assist with diagnoses.
Wow.
In finance, to identify investment opportunities and manage risk, even in entertainment. To create interactive stories and games that blur the lines between reality and fiction.
This is truly mind-blowing. It's like every industry is being touched by the power of prompt engineering.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
But as we wrap up this incredible deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to leave with?
That's easy. Prompt engineering isn't some futuristic concept. It's a skill you can learn and apply today.
Yeah, I love that.
It's about understanding how to communicate effectively with AI and harness its power to achieve amazing things.
So don't be intimidated by the technical jargon or the seemingly complex concepts.
Yeah, just dive in, experiment, see what you can create.
Exactly. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Right.
The field of prompt engineering is constantly evolving, so stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that wraps up another fascinating deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore more cutting-edge topics, but until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
See you next time.